Time. Look at that! Oh!
We at Time Warner Cable need to apologize to you. We no longer offer an excuse to bet on when we'll arrive.
We're making a bunch of changes at Time Warner Cable. Not only will we give you a 1-hour arrival window, but our new Tech Tracker feature will alert you with the exact time we'll get there. You'll even have their name and picture.
I have a list.
Okay.
So she needs forward collision warning, automatic emergency braking, blind spot detection, and lane departure warning.
All available on the Elantra and Sonata.
And America's Best Warranty.
Standard on every Hyundai.
Okay, let's check in with the boss.
Okay. Sorry, excuse me.
We'll take both.
Get the 2016 Elantra for only $119 a month with $28.59 due at signing.
Just one.
Two.
Don't wait. This event ends May 2nd.
It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are? Right now on Fox 5 News at 10.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to get through this thing called life.
Oh, it gets us psyched up hearing that, right? Amazing stuff. Another music icon gone way too soon. Groundbreaking artist Prince found dead today at his home in Minnesota. At the age of 57, Prince's death, as you would imagine, has shocked the world.
He's being remembered tonight as one of music's most influential and innovative artists. Since the announcement of his death earlier today, his albums have shot to the top of the iTunes charts.
All right, the Apollo Theater paying tribute on its marquee in Harlem, which reads in part, "Nothing compares to you." We have team coverage beginning with Dan Bowens, who's in Fort Greene, Brooklyn, where Spike Lee is hosting an event celebrating the music of Prince. And Dan, I watched your live stream. Let's Go Crazy was a highlight. Spike Lee came out.
Yeah, absolutely, Steve. There are hundreds of people here. This is a celebration of Prince and his music. It started small in front of Spike Lee's joint here in Brooklyn, and now it stretches almost a whole city block. There are hundreds of people here. They are singing, they are dancing, some are crying. All this love for an undeniable legend. A party for a prince, the Prince. The music booming from Spike Lee's joint in Brooklyn with hundreds spilling into the streets.
He is a legend, and this is an awesome way to honor him.
He's an incredible inspiration for me, has been since I was a kid. Helped me to understand myself better, helped me to understand my place in the world better.
It just goes to show you how much of a reach that Prince had, that yet so many people who come out on a beautiful Thursday night like this and just celebrate his life with music and dance.
And he had it all, a musical icon transcending generations and genres, from pop to rock, hip-hop, funk, jazz, and soul.
Prince was ahead of his time in every way, and the fact that he's gone now, it leaves a hole in the music industry.
It's devastating, really. Like, I cried. It felt like a member of the family died.
His Purple Rain, that 8-minute ballad like much of his music dripping with sexual lyrics, highlighted in the 1984 movie of the same name, earning Prince an Oscar, launching him to international celebrity. Born Prince Rogers Nelson in Minneapolis, the Grammy-winning artist could play almost any instrument, arranging and composing many of the songs on his nearly 40 studio records. Hit after smashing hit, spanning the late 1970s right up until the end.
He obviously held himself to a very high standard artistically, and he did expect the people around him to be that way too.
Forever bearing his creative soul, Prince released 4 studio albums in the last 18 months. He'd been on tour before falling ill. His music, part of the universal artistic pulse. This is what it sounds like when the world cries for him.
You really feel like you've lost a friend, right? You know, it's like, because he's been a part of our lives, the soundtrack.
And President Obama also offering his sympathies today, saying perhaps no modern artist has contributed more to popular music than Prince. The party here is still going strong. They are playing all the hits, and there are so many hits. What'll close it out tonight? Almost surely, it will be Purple Rain. Jen and Steve, back to you.
So true, boy. That catalog is as deep as any artist has. Amazing stuff. All right, thanks, Dan. Now, TMZ's Harvey Levin is reporting tonight that Prince was treated for a drug overdose 6 days before his death. Take a listen.
We now know that when he made that emergency landing in Moline last Friday after his Atlanta concert, we are told from multiple sources that he was being treated for a drug overdose. Multiple sources, what they tell us is that they actually started treating him at the airport on the tarmac. It was so serious, and that when they took him to the emergency room, they gave him what they call a save shot, which is an antidote for opiates. Right.
And that was from our TMZ Twitter feed. An autopsy is scheduled for tomorrow, but toxicology results might take up to 2 weeks.
It's so surprising to hear that. All right, reaction to the death of Prince coming in from the White House. President Obama releasing a statement saying, in part, few artists have influenced the sound and trajectory of popular music more distinctly or touched quite so many people with their talent. As one of the most gifted and prolific musicians of our time, Prince did it all.
Certainly. Meantime, fans who live in Prince's hometown near Minneapolis are remembering the music legend tonight. A makeshift memorial was set up outside the First Avenue music venue where Prince got his start. A memorial was also set up outside of his home where the music icon made his last public appearance on Saturday.
He's given us so much music, and to be able to come here and dance and like we just did Saturday and see him, and it's like nothing else in the world.
It's just shocking to lose someone of that great importance. I mean, he completely revitalized the music scene in Minneapolis.
Minneapolis Mayor Betsy Hodges called Prince a child of our city, saying he made it okay for his fans to be different and to celebrate their individuality.
Indeed. Now, in the 80s, when Prince rose to superstardom, there was no one like him. He dressed like James Brown, played guitar like Jimi Hendrix, and he moved like Michael Jackson.
Yeah, as Matt King shows us, Prince also had his own unique style that influenced a generation.
There were days that I spent with Prince where he did 3 costume changes on a day when he didn't have a show.
Music journalist Alan Light interviewed Prince many times during their 2 careers, on and off the record. But not once while Light wrote or researched his book, Let's Go Crazy, Prince and the Making of Purple Rain.
He would pursue whatever direction he needed at that moment. He was not concerned with what anybody was expecting from him or what they'd seen from him before.
Prince, Light says, disdained reflecting on the before. The artist released albums in 5 different decades and yet somehow belonged to no past or present moment, always to some distant future one, to which the rest of us might or might not ever arrive. And so reflection, Light says, served Prince no purpose.
If there is a single most important thing about Prince, it was his absolute sense of independence and of bravery and of risk-taking and of not falling under any umbrellas or categories.
In his song Controversy, Prince asked listeners, am I black or white? Am I straight or gay?
He didn't like being defined. That's why he would change his name, he would change his style.
Wall Street Journal senior editor Christopher Farley recalled the hieroglyphic lollipop symbol to which the artist formerly known as Prince changed his name. All those outfits he wore, some combo of Elizabethan and androgynous and something entirely his own. The album covers that recalled no other era than the one in whichever plane of existence Prince called home.
He wasn't someone who followed trends. He's someone who set the trends.
When asked what comes to mind when they hear the name Prince, fans recall as much of the man's style as his music.
Some sweet cotton candy or something.
He just shed all stereotypes and he was just himself.
The audacity that he had to wear what he did and didn't care what you thought.
And all of this constant change, Light says, Prince scripted with a goal in mind. Never breaking character, never sacrificing a style unlike any we'd ever seen before.
What we'll never fully know was the guy behind that, but the little glimpses that you got was far more down to earth than all of the smoke and mirrors around it.
In Harlem, I'm Matt King, Fox 5 News.
So many people posting memories of Prince on social media.
That's right. A lot of them musicians who wrote about how he influenced their art. Justin Timberlake wrote this long, heartfelt post on Instagram. More than a once-in-a-lifetime artist, just a once-in-forever artist. It would be silly to say that he's inspired our music. It's beyond that. He's somewhere within every song I've ever written.
I believe that. John Mayer posted this on his Instagram account. He inspired a generation of musicians to strive for greatness above anything else. His fame was always always infused with his talent, and that talent was his freedom. It was his constant reason. That's what an icon is.
Madonna, one of his peers in the 80s for sure, posted a picture of her and Prince with the caption, "We changed the world, a true visionary, what a loss, I'm devastated. This is not a love song."
Carmen Electra, who dated Prince in the 90s, posted this picture saying, "I feel so sad and confused right now. I'm in shock. I love you, Prince. Hope you're comfortable and peaceful now. Play on, my love. Play on." Prince was fiercely protective of his music and was at the forefront of the fight for artist ownership rights. We're going to have more on that coming up later on in the newscast.
All right, and the fallout has begun from those voter problems reported during Tuesday's New York primary. The City Board of Elections has suspended Brooklyn Chief Clerk Diane Haslett-Rudiano without pay until they figure out exactly what went on. This comes following reports of faulty ballot scanners, inadequate staffing at polling sites, and thousands of names missing from voter rolls. Both the Attorney General's office and City Controller have begun investigations.
Meantime, the Republican candidates for president look like they are going to fight it out all the way to the convention, despite Donald Trump's commanding lead. Joe Toohey, he's in the newsroom now with tonight's campaign wrap-up. Joe.
Hey, Steve and Jen. There's an old saying in presidential politics: Democrats fall in love while Republicans fall in line. Well, in 2016, the opposite is happening. Democrats now seem to be falling in line behind Hillary Clinton, while Republican voters are smitten with Donald Trump. The only problem is party officials and Trump's opponents aren't as taken with the billionaire. With Donald Trump comfortably in the lead, the never-Trump wing of the Republican Party is in a scramble. Mathematically eliminated from getting 1,237 delegates, Ted Cruz and John Kasich's main job now is stopping the billionaire from getting that magic number before the Republican convention.
I'm not going to reach 1,237, and Donald Trump is not going to reach 1,237.
And tonight, Trump calling on his primary opponents to drop out of the race, tweeting, "Both Ted Cruz and John Kasich have no path to victory. They should both drop out of the race so that the Republican Party can unify." This as the GOP hosts its annual spring meeting in Florida, where they're formulating a plan to figure out how to handle an open convention.
The point is, if it takes one ballot or it takes 5 ballots, the nominee of our party is going to be the person that gets a majority of the delegates on the floor of the convention, or even sooner, perhaps.
Now the focus is on the 5 Northeastern primaries on Tuesday: Pennsylvania, Maryland, Connecticut, Rhode Island, and Delaware. All states where Trump is comfortably ahead in the polls. All while we're getting a preview of how he might start attacking Hillary Clinton, debuting his new nickname for her.
And I'll take on, as I say, Crooked Hillary. Hillary is crooked, and I'll call her Crooked Hillary, but I'll take on Hillary Clinton, and I think we're going to win.
And not to be outdone, Ted Cruz is out with a new web ad today, complete with a fake Hillary Clinton and her staffers, making the case he's the only one that can beat her.
How do we stop Ted Cruz?
I don't think we can.
And on the Democratic side, Bernie Sanders took a break from the campaign trail yesterday to spend some time at home in Vermont. After Hillary Clinton's big win in New York and nearly insurmountable lead in delegates, the question now becomes, how long will this Democratic contest last as the math continues to work in Clinton's favor? Steve and Jen.
Indeed. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Joe. Passover starts tomorrow.
Okay, well, one of the city's most influential rabbis is revealing about the meaning of the Jewish celebration to our own Sharon Crowley.
A postal worker says he was attacked and beaten by 2 NYPD detectives. Now he's suing the city and speaking out.
And how the National Spelling Bee is switching things up to make sure it does not end in a tie again.
All right, but first, our tribute tonight to Prince continues.
All right, here's a live performance of Purple Rain.
Purple rain.
Closed captioning brought to you by Lexus. Conquer the weather with Lexus All-Weather Drive. See your Lexus dealer.
Miles Davis. I'm here to do your comeback story.
Okay, move back a little bit. Yeah. Somebody stole my session tape. We actually own that tape. Miles, give my music back. Go, 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 go.
This is madness. I am not dying over this jazz tape.
Don't call it jazz, man. That's some made-up word. It's social music.
Rated R. Now playing select cities.
Now at Jennifer, get extreme values for your home. Plus, pay no sales tax. Choose from these 5-piece leather living rooms, elegant 7-piece bedrooms, or stylish sectionals. Plus, special financing available. Save big and pay no sales tax. Only at Jennifer Furniture.
I'm on my way.
When there's no room for error, rely on the 2016 Nissan Altima. With intelligent safety shield technologies like forward emergency braking and blind spot warning. Lease the 2016 Altima just $169 per month, or get 0% financing for up to 60 months. Take on the mission. Shop ChooseNissan.com.
You wanted that, or you wanted that yourself?
She drew us all in front of it.
Smoking causes 16 different types of cancer.
You can have it if you want.
You have one clear way to reduce your risk. You can quit smoking. Talk with your doctor.
This program brought to you by the New York State Health Department. Talk with your doctor for help quitting smoking. Anything goes on Good Day.
Our money is going to change. Harriet Tubman will be on the $20 bill.
She's a New Yorker. She's a woman.
Actually, they're making all kinds of changes.
We wanted to be on the $10 bill, right? They're going to keep Hamilton.
Rosanna, we had bigger problems. I mean, we actually try to circulate this stuff.
Watch Good Day, New York's favorite morning show.
A postal worker caught on camera being attacked by a pair of NYPD detectives is now suing the city for $100 million. Kareem Baker claims he was harassed by various officers after he unknowingly gave directions to a man who went on to murder 2 NYPD cops in 2014. Almost a year later, surveillance video captured detectives Angelo Pepena and Robert Carbone kicking and beating Baker after they said he was parked in front of a hydrant. Both of those officers have been indicted on assault charges. Baker suffered serious injuries and says his life will never be the same.
There's nothing that can really resolve the issue as far as the damage is done already. I'm not the same.
Both detectives pleaded not guilty and were released. If convicted, each of them could face up to 7 years in prison.
Those costumed characters in Times Square will no longer be able to roam free. Mayor de Blasio signing legislation today that regulates how and where they can perform and hustle for tips. That new law creates no soliciting zones in pedestrian plazas put in place by the Department of Transportation. New law expected to go into effect by summer.
This year's National Spelling Bee will be longer and harder and hopefully won't end in a tie. That's what's happened the past 2 years, so changes are being made. The final championship rounds in May will now consist of 75 words instead of 25, and organizers will be able to choose harder words on the fly. The first place prize money is also going up from $30,000 to $40,000.
Not too bad. All right, something may not be kosher at a New Jersey food company known for adhering to strict Jewish practices. Rabbi Yaakov Horowitz has filed suit against Manischewitz just before the start of Passover. He claims the matzah and wine manufacturer pushed him out as their longtime chief supervising rabbi because he complained when the company started loosening its kosher guidelines 7 years ago. He also claims the Orthodox union he works for did not enforce the bylaws. The union says it hasn't done anything wrong. Manischewitz has not commented on the suit.
As we said, the celebration of Passover begins tomorrow.
Okay, and one of New York City's most influential rabbis talks with Sharon Crowley about its meaning and his own spiritual journey of finding faith.
Of hope and importance of instilling in them a sense of history and Jewish pride and Jewish identity. That's what it's all about. Don't be discouraged. You know, life has its ups and downs.
Passover is a spring festival that marks the liberation of the Israelites from slavery in Egypt. Freedom is something Rabbi Schneier holds dear. Just before the Holocaust, when he was 8, he fled to Budapest with his mother in 1938. Many of his relatives died during the Holocaust.
The sky was total darkness. With my family deported to Auschwitz, if I want to visit the cemetery, I can only go to the crematorium of Auschwitz. That's where the ashes I may discover. I experienced man's inhumanity in Vienna 1938 when the Nazis took over. I saw my synagogue set on fire.
He and his mother came to the United States in 1947.
I'm very, very proud of the fact that I came to this country of freedom, where I was able not only to rebuild myself, but to be of service and pay back for having survived and preside over a wonderful community and a magnificent sanctuary. I believe in building and not destruction.
How do you keep your faith?
So first of all, it's something very personal. Many of Holocaust survivors turn against God and turn against man. And they say, how did God permit this to happen? And the question is, God, where were you? I said, you know, God, you saved me. You saved me. I'm grateful, and I'm going to be grateful for the rest of my life. It wasn't God who perpetrated these crimes. It was man.
How is it you were able to forgive, or have you?
It's not a matter of forgiveness. It's a matter of not being paralyzed by the past. You cannot forgive, although we can have compassion, we can have mercy. There's a prayer that I've used during those horrible days, which is, God is with me, I am not afraid.
Passover happens in the springtime. The rabbi says it's a time when all of us can think about new beginnings and hope. Hope is something the rabbi, now 86, still lives with every day.
If you trust in God, also make it your business to trust in your fellow man.
Sharon Crowley, Fox 5 News.
All right, maybe he's not ready to retire quite yet.
Yeah, UFC champ Conor McGregor says he still wants to fight, but why the star admits he got fed up with the demands of his bosses.
To you by Hyundai. The latest lineup of cars and SUVs aren't just new, they're better.
And over here are Hyundai SUVs, Tucson, Santa Fe Sport, and 7-passenger Santa Fe.
And all three offer available blind spot detection, I presume?
Indeed.
Could have used that in my last debate.
And they're all backed by America's best warranty.
Get the 2016 Tucson for only $155 a month with $35.05 due at signing.
They will lower taxes.
That's not entirely accurate.
Don't wait. This event ends May 2nd.
Haley's off to college.
Oh my God, what is that shirt?
Haley Dunphy Moving Company, see? Because we're moving you here and here.
Modern Family.
Tomorrow night starting at 7 on Fox 5.
It's true what they say. Technology moves faster than ever. The all-new Audi A4 with Apple CarPlay integration.
Home soon. Errands to run.
So it's you versus a typical Tuesday. Take it on with Ford Escape, the perfect sidekick.
Got it.
Need an extra pair of eyes? Escape's got a rear-view camera. How about an extra pair of hands? Escape's foot-activated liftgate is ready to amaze. And with a simple voice command, well, you're not just mom.
Val's Ice Cream.
You've become super mom. That's the total package. Get a Ford Escape with 0% financing for 60 months or lease for just $179 a month at your local Ford dealer.
The players, the passion, the pinstripes, the pride. There's no team like the New York Yankees. But if you're a Comcast Xfinity customer, you will miss the entire Yankees season on Yes. Don't let another pitch go by without switching to a provider that carries Yes Network. Visit keepyesnetwork.com or call 1-800-8-KEEP-YES and bring the Yankees back home today.
If you're going to make a statement, make sure it's an intelligent one. The all-new Audi A4 with available virtual cockpit.
With an all-girl Final 3, Chef Ramsay is outnumbered.
It's burned. More salt. How long for that risotto?
Hell's Kitchen, Friday at 8 on Fox 5.
That was his literal hit factory, yeah. He built and established it in the mid-80s, and from there, pretty much everything he did was done there. And, you know, that's where, obviously, the hub of activity is right now, if you're a Prince fan as well, but for different reasons.
Was it stressful being there, sort of in his home?
It was, yeah. I mean, I'm a music critic, so I have had a very fortunate life in as much as I've been face-to-face with many A-listers. But with Prince, just the aura of his presence is enough to intimidate you, and I remember being quite a little bit sweaty.
What was his demeanor like? You know what I mean? What was his? How did he carry himself? And he was a very interesting character. You say is, you know, it's still hard to believe that he's actually gone.
Yeah, no, he carried himself in the way that he was effortlessly cool. He was as cool as you wanted him to be. He was very kind of conversational, and I enjoyed chatting to him.
He was very pleasant and polite too, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think the sort of situation that happened where he kind of phoned me from a neighbouring studio in the complex to kind of talk to me and sort of get an idea of what I was like. And I think I sort of passed some sort of test, and then he came into the studio where I was to actually converse with me one-on-one. And like I said, that aura of cool was always around him, but in that moment, he was also quite conversational and strangely down to earth.
You know, you see his legacy even today as far as being protective over the publishing, the rights to the music, things like that. He fought a lot of battles that benefited a lot of artists. Even now, I think, as far as I can tell on Spotify, his music isn't there.
That's right.
Which is interesting. I mean, all those battles,
the rights to his
whole catalog, things like that. You know, we remember when he painted "Slave" on his face in the early '90s. His very public battle. That is something that benefited a lot of artists.
Absolutely.
In a huge way.
And he was very particular about where he put his music for streaming, and that's why his music is still to this day only available through Tidal, because he felt that was a better platform and more beneficial
deal
for
the artists. Yeah.
And that he really did put his money where his mouth was in that sense. He made a stand, and that's the way it was, and that's the way it remains even now.
All right.
I could talk to you all day about this.
I know, it's so interesting. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
All right, well, an abuse scandal at a Long Island middle school.
Yeah, the allegation sparking a multi-million-dollar lawsuit.
All right, a rapper, Action Bronson, banned by a local college, not by administrators, but actually by the students themselves. Why they didn't want him coming to campus.
Fox 5 News, brought to you by the Lincoln Motor Company.
When a car gives you sound you can feel, for an experience you won't soon forget. That's the more human side of engineering. Experience what a Lincoln can do for you at the Lincoln Spring Collection event. Right now, lease a 2016 Lincoln MKX for $399 a month, only at the Lincoln Spring Collection event.
Oh, I hope we have a buyer for the house.
Me too.
What are the neighbors doing here?
Bill, hey! I didn't know your home Wi-Fi could stream so many devices at the same time.
Dad, it's Time Warner Cable. 300 megs, crazy fast.
Dad, you can get Wi-Fi all over this place.
Cool.
Make your home as connected as possible. Get 50 meg internet with unlimited data for $39.99 per month. And ask about free installation. Call 1-855-1TWC.
Safety should always be the first, second, and third priority.
When it comes to safety, Toyota has you covered. Highlander's available blind spot monitor helps you know when it's safe to change lanes. Sienna's available pre-collision system warns you of a possible frontal collision. And RAV4 offers available Siri Eyes Free to help you keep your eyes on the road instead of your phone. Right now, lease RAV4 for just $189 a month, or get 0% APR for 60 months on a new 2016 RAV4 or Sienna. Toyota, let's go places.
I'm in Saudi Arabia. We're pitching the King.
Critics rave a hologram for the King is brilliant.
Do you like Chicago? Not in the winter. No, the band.
A funny and wonderful fish-out-of-water story.
So why are you going to command? There's nothing happening there. Full steam ahead. See for yourself. Howdy.
Tom Hanks has never been better.
You work for CIA? Just a little freelance work.
People don't like jokes like that.
I knew it as soon as I said it.
A hologram for the King, rated R, starts tomorrow.
This is what precision looks like, helping you see what's hard to see, thanks to Terrain Denali's Side Blind Zone Alert that uses radar to watch your blind spots. So it's true, Mom does have eyes in the back of her head. The new, meticulously crafted 2016 Terrain Denali from GMC. This is the precision of professional grade. Or current non-GM lessees use your $500 auto show cash to get this low-mileage lease on this Terrain SLE1 for around $169 per month.
Fox 5 News, brought to you by Raymore and Flanagan, furnishing your style.
Disturbing allegations tonight about some special ed teachers at a middle school on Long Island. They're accused of abusing the special needs students in their care.
All right, that school's in Long Beach. Jessica Formoso talked to the parents of one student who have filed a $10 million lawsuit against the district.
I want them all punished. They all belong in jail.
Mr. and Mrs. Greengus, the parents of Bobby Greengus, claim their son's middle school teacher, Lisa Weitzman, and her two teaching assistants, Lauren Schneier and Jean Marie Lilly, operated a torture classroom for years.
He couldn't tell us of the everyday torture that he was going through.
The abuses included, verbal abuse, physical abuse, hitting, striking, tying up, concealing in a bathroom, spraying aerosols at the children.
14-year-old Bobby Greengus is autistic and nonverbal. His parents say he loved going to school, but everything changed about 2 years ago when they noticed a change in his behavior.
He would just act out if the boys were playing, together.
All of a sudden doesn't want to get off the bus, doesn't want to go to the school anymore.
In the classroom, there were at least 6 children, of which we are told 5 of the families are also suing the school district for the alleged abuse. Bradley Gertzman, the lawyer representing the Greengus family, says since 2009, the Long Beach School District had heard about the allegations of abuse, but nothing was done until October of 2015, when an anonymous letter was sent to the community.
Explaining the abuses that were going on in this school and in this classroom. And that's the only way the families were able to find out what exactly was happening here.
Superintendent David Weiss released this statement saying, the Long Beach School District has complied and will continue to comply with all federal and state legal requirements regarding complaints to the district about possible abuse or mistreatment of our students. Ms. Weitzman has been removed from the classroom but is collecting her salary unpaid leave. Now, the family lawyer says that there were cameras inside the classroom and in the hallway, and he's hoping to obtain that video. In Long Beach, I'm Jessica Formoso, Fox 5 News.
We're getting a first look now at the man who police say attacked a woman who was jogging in Prospect Park. New surveillance video shows the man accused of grabbing a woman from behind and slashing her in the hand yesterday before he ran off. Police also released this sketch of the suspect. They say he's about 6 feet tall with short hair and a goatee. If you have any information, call Crime Stoppers. That number is 1-800-577-TIPS.
Staten Island's ninja burglar has been sentenced to 25 years in prison. It's part of a plea deal worked out by Robert Costanzo and prosecutors in 3 states. After Costanzo pleaded guilty to 3 counts of robbery, he's confessed to committing more than 100 burglaries in the area. He got that nickname because he dressed in all black clothing, which must have been a horrifying sight for homeowners.
Absolutely. Rapper Action Bronson is no longer welcome to perform at Trinity College in Hartford next weekend. Turns out it was the students who called off his concert, saying his music is hurtful toward women and transgender people. He was booked as the headliner of a spring weekend concert, but was canceled following an online petition. George Washington University canceled his appearance at its D.C. campus 2 weeks ago because of similar concerns.
UFC featherweight champion Conor McGregor's brief retirement is apparently over. He says he is willing to headline the main event at UFC 200 in July. The Irish superstar says he was simply fed up with the promotional request associated with such a big event and needed to focus more on his training. No word yet if the UFC will put McGregor back in the main event, a rematch against Nate Diaz.
The wrestling world is mourning the loss of one of its biggest female superstars of all time. Joanne Lore, better known to her fans as Chyna, was found dead at her California home yesterday. Billed as the 9th wonder of the world, Chyna was a pioneer in the WWE, where she competed against both men and women. Following her wrestling career, she fell on tough times, struggling with drugs and alcohol, and was featured in several pornographic videos. Authorities have not ruled out an overdose. Lore was 46.
All right, a huge multi-million-dollar gift from MoMA.
Who is giving the museum $100 million and what it's going to be used for?
All right, and pictures of another over-the-top treat taking over social media. The new spin on ice cream that has New Yorkers lining up. This is the new Black Tap milkshake of the month.
It's after 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are? Brought to you by Ridgewood Savings Bank.
sleek lines and aggressive styling to attract some drivers. 328 horsepower that handles like this certainly qualifies as more. Lease the all-wheel drive Infiniti Q50 for $309 a month. Visit your tri-state Infiniti retailer.
Did you ever think that as quick as you could ask a question, you could get an answer? Or that we could go somewhere in a car and no one would need to drive it? Or that with a limb made in a 3D printer, a soldier can continue to serve his country? Think about the incredible things we've been able to do. Now think about what we need to do. We need to cure cancer. Perlmutter Cancer Center at NYU Langone has assembled an extraordinary team of doctors and researchers who are developing new treatments and clinical trials for our patients. We believe we can cure cancer, and we can cure it in our lifetime.
Sir, this alien life form is growing at an alarming rate.
Growing fast, you say?
We can't contain it any longer.
You know, that reminds me of how Geico's been the fastest growing auto insurer for over 10 years straight.
Over 10 years?
Mm-hmm. Geico's the company your friends and neighbors trust.
And deservedly so.
Indeed.
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
How would you sum up this car in one word?
Swanky.
Sexy.
Sexy.
Luxurious.
Classy.
Fast. Sporty. Sharp. Innovative. Sleek luxury sedan.
Okay, that's more than one word.
This is the all-new 2016 Chevy Malibu.
That's impressive. Where's the local dealer around here?
Current qualified competitive lessees can get this all-new 2016 Chevy Malibu LT for around $199 a month.
From counting sheep to counting money, according to a new report, around 6 out of 10 Americans are losing sleep, well, over money and problems about money, saving for retirement, paying for college. The main reasons people are tossing and turning. And speaking of college, you might be making the grade, but that might not be good enough for getting a job. That's because 1 in 4 companies really don't think universities are preparing students at all for the real world, putting too much emphasis on book learning. And that didn't last long. The Dow dropping below 18,000 on Thursday after topping it earlier in the week for the first time, well, since last July. A dip in oil prices once again pulling down stocks. And on the news of Prince's passing, fans flocking to iTunes to buy his music. Several of the artist's albums jumping to the top of the bestseller list. His 2001 Greatest Hits compilation, The Very Best of Prince, took the #1 spot less than an hour after his death was confirmed. That's Business. I'm Neil Cavuto.
The Museum of Modern Art just got a very generous donation gift, $100 million from entertainment mogul David Geffen. The art collector and businessman says the museum has played an important role in his life since he was a young boy. The museum says it will use the money to renovate and expand its space. 3 new floors of art galleries should be added and be named the David Geffen Wing.
All right, the MTV Video Music Awards will be returning to NYC this summer, and for the first time, it will be held at Madison Square Garden, the world's most famous arena. The VMAs were last held in the city 3 years ago at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. That was the whole, what's her name?
Who? What?
There was the controversy du jour of the MTV VMAs. Miley Cyrus.
Oh, yes.
That was that crazy year with Robin Thicke. All right, this year's show set for Sunday night, August 28th. Okay, a new ice cream craze has hit the city just in time for summer and Instagram season.
What makes this frozen treat so special and where you can get it?
Your World with Neil Cavuto, brought to you by M&T Bank. Understanding what's important.
It's great to be able to provide jobs and grow the manufacturing base in this country. We're in an industry that's expanding right now, and we're needing a bank that's willing to expand with us. We've had a partnership with M&T Bank for the last year and a half. They've really come in and understood our process and understand where we're going. It's been a great relationship and looking forward to moving ahead with them in the future.
Since 1945, Pennington's been part of American pastimes. As simple as a plastic bat and a bare spot for home plate. But pastimes shouldn't include repatching every year or blaming yourself when your seed doesn't take root. It's not you. You're using the wrong seed. Pennington One Step Complete with superior seed, wood mulch, and fertilizer repairs bare spots in 2 weeks or less. So the only thing left to worry about is what to use as home plate. Pennington, honest green.
Don't let dust and allergies get between you and life's beautiful moments. With Flonase Allergy Relief, they won't. When we breathe in allergens, our bodies react by overproducing 6 key inflammatory substances that cause our symptoms. Most allergy pills only control 1 substance. Flonase controls 6. And 6 is greater than 1. Flonase outperforms the #1 non-drowsy allergy pill. So you can seize those moments wherever you find them. Flonase 6 is greater than 1 changes everything.
They say that in life, we shouldn't sweat the small stuff. But when you're building a Mercedes-Benz, there really is no small stuff. Every decision, every component is an integral part of what makes the 2016 C-Class one of our most sophisticated cars ever. Because when you're setting a new benchmark for refinement, it is the small stuff that makes the biggest impression. The 2016 C-Class. See your authorized dealer for exceptional offers through Mercedes-Benz Financial Services.
Fox 5 News brought to you by Raymore and Flanagan, furnishing your style. Hot topics.
The life and death of the rapper Chinks. How do I tell his kids daddy's not coming home?
An unfiltered talk.
You have people like you all the time judging me.
Featuring big stars.
That's my N-word. It's a video mixtape of some of our most popular segments.
Saturday at 10:30 on Fox 5.
Okay, it is the latest ice cream craze du jour, right in time for summer.
Yes, Jessica Formoso shows us how the sweet treat is inspired by Thai street food.
We are at 10 Below. This place opened up 9 months ago, and as you can see, it's a very popular place. A lot of people finding out about this ice cream shop through social media. Now, the owner tells me that on a very good day, they sell 600 cups of ice cream. You can get a strawberry shorty, a monkey business, or any of the other 6 flavors. They call it ice cream rolls. There isn't any science behind the name. They literally roll up your ice cream.
We make our own crème anglaise, which is the batter that we use, and we make it fresh every morning. And then we add the ingredients to it, like whether it's fruit or dry toppings, and we roll it on a plate. It's at -10 degrees, which is why, hence our name, 10 Below. We chop it up and we roll it, and it takes around 2 minutes to make one. Finally, adding any topping you want. It was a video on Facebook and a trip to Thailand that sparked the idea of opening up 10 Below in Chinatown. We went to Thailand and we saw the concept and we said, wow, this is very cool. My partner Richard, he loves ice cream. He knows how to make ice cream, so he said, let's bring this to America. They have made a name for themselves on social media. Instagram, we have like 20,000 followers now. Twitter, we have, it really does help with the business. How did you find out about this place?
Social media. They know it's from Thailand and that they wanted to bring it into New York, and I wanted to try it because it's supposed to be different.
The line tonight was a long one, and with the weather getting nicer, 10 Below will be rolling up a ton of ice cream this summer, but you better get in here quick because they do have a limit on how many cups of ice cream they sell daily, since it's freshly made every day. If you're in the mood for homemade ice cream, this may be the place for you. In Chinatown, I'm Jessica Formoso, Fox 5 News.
Always something that does look good, though. I
Yeah,
like the way it's a lot of labor. It's like that's a tough gig. Hopefully they pay those guys right.
I don't know. If it's ice cream, it's got to be good,
It's
right?
got to be.
Yeah,
That's my one. I don't like a lot of sweets.
Yeah.
Ice cream. I get it. That's
ice
my.
cream.
That's
Somebody just asked me online. They're like, "What's your favorite ice cream parlor?" I'm like, I don't even know. It's all great. It really is all
I've
great.
never had an ice cream I didn't like.
It's the feel-good thing.
It's great.
Makes you feel good.
Today was
Speaking of feeling good,
phenomenal.
Yeah,
It was just
oh
a
my gosh.
perfect spring day.
It really was. We were 10 degrees above average, and still wasn't all that humid, not all that breezy. A nice day with all the sunshine, and we're going to be milder tomorrow, but tomorrow will be a transition day because we do have a cold front coming in from the west. So there'll be clouds around, little sun in the morning, and we're going to watch out for showers, maybe a couple of thunderstorms. Could be an isolated shower in the morning, but I think most of the action's mid to late afternoon into tomorrow night. 73, 49 today, again, above average, certainly by almost 10 degrees on that high. 87 for the record high, 26 for the record low. That was back in the late 1800s. Again, 6:06 sunrise, 7:42 the set. And you'll see just a bit of it in the morning. 69 now. Humidity continues to rise. Remember, last night we were still down around 10-15% in humidity. Southwest wind is helping to do that, and that's also going to hold the temperature up tonight. We do have some mid to high clouds that have started to move in across the area. But as you look at Fox 5 Sky Guardian, as we were showing you earlier on in the evening, if you watched our early newscast, the showers that were near Scranton have basically gone up towards Albany, and that's going to continue to be the case. So I don't think much will happen tonight. Just a fair amount of clouds will be around, and that shower threat again will arrive mainly tomorrow afternoon and beyond. 78 up in Poughkeepsie for their high today. It was 77 in Newark, mid-70s even at Belmar, but as we were expecting cooler readings along the South Shore, Long Island, and Connecticut because of the wind off the water, and certainly that's the case. They were only in the mid-60s there today, up to 68 at Bridgeport. They're now into the mid-50s. Montauk, Islip 56, 67 though still up in the Hudson Valley, 66 North Jersey, by Sussex, Newark holding on to 69 as we are in the city, and mid-60s elsewhere. And our temperature gain is about 5 to as much as 18 degrees from just 24 hours ago with the southwest wind that will continue tonight on into tomorrow, and about 10 to 15 miles per hour or so. All right, it's mild all through the Northeast today. Even Boston finally getting in on the warmth today. They were 64 right now. They were into the 70s earlier. 67 down in Washington, D.C. But watch the showers that are, again, sliding off to our north here for now. Again, it's further west that we'll be watching those showers arrive here tomorrow. As high pressure is now moving offshore. That'll keep that southwesterly flow in play. And this one storm heads towards the Great Lakes region, eventually dragging this cold front through. So the shower threat will arrive. Not so much again in the morning. A little sun may get through. We'll climb right out of the 60s again to 74 at lunchtime. 79 in the city tomorrow. Probably will hit 80 in a few locales as well. Cooler at the shore. The thunderstorms come in, or the showers and thunderstorms anyway, from mid-afternoon on. Again, there's our futurecast temperature computer model showing about 80 in the city. Notice again, South Shore, Long Island, off to the east end, only in the 60s, and back down to about 60 tomorrow night, and then back to the upper 60s on Saturday after clouds give way to more sunshine as Saturday goes along. Futurecast shows again that front moving along, so we will watch for the showers into tomorrow night. Saturday morning may start with a bit of cloud cover, and then it'll get much better by late morning and beautiful afternoon, and a beautiful Sunday's coming up too. A lot of clouds tonight, 53 in town, or I should say in the suburbs, 58 in town. Tomorrow, 79 in the city, upper 60s at the shore, mainly South Shore of Long Island and Connecticut, but the showers and storms should move in mid to late afternoon into tomorrow night. Then Saturday, morning clouds, then sunshine, 69, 63 Sunday, looks good. 72 Monday, looks okay. Showers for Tuesday, back to the upper 60s, and then dry Wednesday, Thursday, mid to upper 60s.
I do like that we don't get too hot, because there's that moment of sadness when, like, you cross over into summer and they're like, oh,
yeah,
a little bit too hot.
It's 88 degrees.
And you're
totally
in the subway,
right.
and it's just
It's easier to throw a little something on.
We're going to have some nice spring weather to enjoy.
That's great. Love it. Thank you, Nick. Okay, it was a big night for Fox 5's Mike Woods and Audrey Puente. They hosted the Storefront Academy's 50th anniversary gala here on the fabulous Upper East Side. The Storefront, a nonprofit school in Harlem with an impressive success rate. 90% of its minority students go on to graduate high school. Tonight's event featured live music in honor Elsie Vanderbilt Adenoff. Not only did she start the school, but she is a descendant of businessman and a native New Yorker, Cornelius Vanderbilt. Very impressive.
It was a rough night for the Rangers and for their fans.
All right. Traffic Tracker brought to you by Toyota.
I'm Inez Rosales with the Toyota Traffic Tracker. The Grand Central Parkway eastbound by the Long Island Expressway. The right lane will be closed tomorrow for construction from 8 a.m. until 3:30 p.m. Tune into Good Day New York starting at 4:30 in the morning for all your traffic updates.
Before the Cadillac ATS-V shook the establishment. Before every angle was carved for competition. Before road ready meant track capable. Before its speed left the segment behind. Before it all, the Cadillac ATS. The fastest turbo 4-cylinder sedan in its class. Daring runs in the family. Get this low mileage lease on this ATS from around $299 per month. Visit your local Cadillac dealer today.
It seems like a cold at first. You can't concentrate, can't sleep. Before long, it's all you can think about. You feel anxious and uncertain until one day you realize this could be it. You've done it. You've quit smoking for good. A little suffering now can save a lot of suffering later. Stop before the real suffering starts. you can quit smoking. Talk with your doctor.
And over here are Hyundai SUVs, Tucson, Santa Fe Sport, and 7-passenger Santa Fe.
And all three offer available blind spot detection, I presume?
Indeed.
Could have used that in my last debate.
And they're all backed by America's best warranty.
Get the 2016 Tucson for only $155 a month with $35.05 due at signing.
They will lower taxes.
That's not entirely accurate.
Don't wait. This event ends May 2nd.
April 30th. Don't miss the last race before the Supercross Finals. Who will take the win at MetLife Stadium? Monster Energy Supercross, featuring Toyota, the official vehicle of Supercross. April 30th at MetLife Stadium.
Don't miss your chance to try our new thickly sliced premium carved turkey and bacon 6-inch sub. Available for a limited time at the special price of just $4. But get it fast. This indulgent deal at Subway restaurants ends soon. Subway, fresh is what we do.
Ask what makes it the best 3 Series ever, and we'll tell you it has more advanced suspension and steering, or even more control of the road. And it's near perfectly balanced to put performance first. But ask if we're aware the competition mimics us just to keep up? No comment. The BMW 3 Series. Right now, lease a BMW 320i sedan for as low as $320 a month.
Oprah takes sides on the Kelly Ripa beat.
She gave the Oprah look.
Looked to me like she was saying, what they do? Stop neck rolling, dog.
Weeknights at 6:30 on Fox 5.
So proud of you.
I haven't even gotten to my scene yet.
You're going to be a TV star and you haven't left me yet. That takes guts.
Next Big Bang. Tonight at 11 on Fox 5.
All right, how you doing, everyone? We haven't led with hockey around here in quite a while, but tonight is a different occasion. It is not, I should say, if it's not a must-win situation for the Rangers over at Madison Square Garden, it's as close as you can get to being one, because another loss to the Penguins would put them down 3-1 and at the Saturday in Pittsburgh. And now for the Rangers, it is indeed a must-win situation. As for the Islanders and Panthers, they resume play tomorrow down in Florida, with that series tied 2 games apiece going in. Meanwhile, on the diamond up in the Bronx tonight, Yankees bullpen serving up batting practice for the Oakland A's. Top 7, Chris Davis tees off on Chase and Shreve. Bye-bye, so long, farewell. Solo bomb gave the A's a 3-2 lead. Then here on the very next pitch from Shreve, Coco Crisp gets all of this, and then some, launched on a monster shot into the second deck. Back-to-back bombs on back-to-back pitches gives the A's a 4-2 advantage. Then after the Yanks cut it to 4-3, bottom of the 7th, top 8, when it's Chris Coughlin's turn to flex his muscles, unloading a 2-run bomb on Johnny Barbado. 6-3 A's, 7-3 was your final. And in Cincinnati tonight, Cubs ace Jake Arrieta throwing a no-hitter as the Cubs bomb the Reds 16-0. That's it for sports.
Thank you, Russ.
All right. Well, that is our news for tonight. But first, we want to end with one last tribute to Prince.
That's right. This was my selection. Here's a look at his amazing guitar solo. Maybe the best guitar solo I've ever seen, to the Beatles' While My Guitar Gently Weeps. This was part of a performance honoring the late George Harrison at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony back in 2004. Take care.
Fox 5 News isn't over. If you want to connect to great stories and people, then engage Fox 5's Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube pages. And go to fox5ny.com for news and stories you care about. Brought to you by Raymore and Flanagan Furniture, furnishing your style. Here's a look at what's going on in sports this weekend on Fox 5, sponsored by Kia. This Saturday at 2:30 p.m., it's a Fox Sports special on the upcoming NFL Draft, followed by Monster Energy Supercross at 3:30. Then on Sunday at 12:30 p.m., it's NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing from Richmond. This Fox 5 weekend sports update is brought to you by the 2016 Kia Sorento, the perfect getaway vehicle. Visit TriStateKiaDealers.com to learn more.
The Kia Forte is not only stylish, it also has a NHTSA overall 5-star crash safety rating. And now you can lease the Forte LX for $109 a month, plus get $500 auto show bonus. Plus, it's backed by an industry-leading 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, making the Kia Forte the complete package. Lease the Forte LX for $109 a month, plus get $500 auto show bonus. Hurry to your nearest Tri-State Kia dealer today.
There's a sound a ball makes when it catches nothing but net. Everyone loves that sound, that precision, At GMC, we get that. Nothing separates the men from the boys. Like nothing but net. This is the precision of professional grade. Now current non-GM lessees, use your $500 auto show cash to get this low mileage lease on this 2016 Acadia for around $239 per month.
Visit tristategmc.com.
I would kill for something sweet.
Wanna split that?
No, so much fat.
Don't fight your instincts. With 150 calories each, try our rich and creamy cheesecakes. Fiber One.
You say tomato? Old El Paso says diced tomato stand and stuffed chicken tacos. You say what's for dinner? Old El Paso says start somewhere fresh.
How would you sum up this car in one word?
Swanky.
Sexy. Sexy.
Luxurious.
Classy. Fast. Sporty. Sharp. Innovative. Sleek luxury sedan.
Okay, that's more than one word.
This is the all-new 2016 Chevy Malibu. That's impressive.
Where's the local dealer around here?
Current qualified competitive lessees can get this all-new 2016 Chevy Malibu LT for around $199 a month.